So today we got a pretty special video because we have the Xbox Series X and it's quite exciting to finally have it after waiting for so long. And this is also the most powerful console available today. So in this video we're going to unbox it, set it up, and play a few games. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so the X series comes in this box and it's surprisingly heavier than you would think. So we can see that they're going with this dark theme, very nice and pro looking. So we got 4K at 120 frames per second, velocity architecture, and the Series X has the 1TB SSD internal storage. Let's go to the side. Here we have some more information. You can see a pretty cool picture here of the main board. So we got the 4K 120. We also have potential for 8K output in HDR. So you can see here that this thing is quite future-proof. And obviously you're going to have HDR in all the modes. So Xbox new generation velocity architecture will come into play as newer games come out. So very exciting to see that. The 1TB SSD. We also have variable refresh rate compatibility. And because this is the X series and has the disk drive, you can play Blu-rays on it. So this is the back of the box and the other side. So we have 4 seals, and you can just peel them off, but I'm just going to cut them. And it should open up. Check out that presentation, very cool. So we got a lot of soft foam around the Xbox itself and even here on the top. Very interesting and unique packaging. So this is the X right here. Let's go ahead and pull it out. Wow, this thing is quite chunky and very heavy. Well, I guess for how small it is, it definitely feels heavy. So we have a little Power Your Dreams around it. Just some marketing. And it's wrapped in this plastic protector here. And check it out. It's actually a box, like a tower. Very interesting. So we're going to check this thing out in detail in a second. Let's see what else is in the box. So it looks like we have like a little quick start guide and kind of shows you what everything does, how to get started. So here we have another box that flaps open and we have our controller. So it is all blacked out. We have this nice and new D-pad. That's pretty cool looking. We also have the new share button, but other than that, it looks pretty general, like very familiar. We do have some extra gripping around the controller and also some grip here. And everything is placed like it was before, so there's no learning. You just get straight to playing. So we also get a high-speed HDMI cable and the power cord. That's a 2-prong. And also a little booklet of some warranty or something like that. But yeah, that's everything that's in the box. So very simple, well packed, and very unique packaging. All right, and so this is what the X series looks like. So it's literally a box or a rectangle, and it's completely blacked out. So up here we have the Xbox power button, and I'm sure it glows. And overall, the front is pretty clean. We have the disc insert right here with the eject button. On the other side, we have the remote pairing and a USB port. So this console can stand both ways, vertical and horizontal. So if we go this way, we can see that there are little rubber feet, and this is how you can sit it down horizontally, just like that. So depending on your layout and how you're going to store it, you could put it like this. So if we go to the bottom, the vertical bottom, we can see we have venting ports, and then the stand has a rubber all around it, so it's very grippy when it sits upwards. And right in the middle here, if you guys can see maybe that line, it does say Xbox on one side and hello from Seattle. That's quite interesting. So I'm going to stand it up horizontally again. So now we're looking at the back, and up here looks like we have some kind of venting. Pretty clean side going down. We got our label here, and below that we got all of our ports. So there's 2 USB ports, an Ethernet port, a storage expansion port, and this is if you want to add more storage, you can expand it here. And then below that we got an HDMI output and the power input port. And on each side we have pretty large venting openings here, so it draws the air from around the Xbox, the bottom and the sides here, and pushes it up. And speaking of up, this is what the top looks like. There's a lot of pretty large holes that the air vents out of. Now there is a green insert in there, and you can only see it when you look at it from an angle. So if I turn it to an angle, it appears all of a sudden. So that's quite unique. And also we do have like this concave kind of a look, so quite interesting for sure. I think some of us wish that, you know, Xbox added some kind of illumination in there. That would have been, you know, a little cooler, but it still looks really nice. And the last side that we haven't seen yet is this here. There's a little Xbox logo here, and it's just clean. So yeah, pretty interesting looking box, definitely quite plain, and will blend a little better with furniture, I guess, and it's not too showy. But I think some of us wanted something a little more aggressive, but I am kind of digging the overall clean look, and definitely will keep it in this vertical mode. So as far as the remote goes, it's quite typical and feels pretty much the same with some subtle changes like the D-pad and the share button. It does feel a little different, something about it, maybe smaller a little bit or something, not sure exactly, but this grip here all around the handles is really nice. It definitely feels a lot more like you can play it with sweaty hands and not have trouble. And we still do have the same ports underneath. Now one thing I'm not too excited about is that they never upgraded anything about the power of the controller, so we're still having a cover here that we have to insert batteries into. Now the good part is it does come with 2 AA batteries, but I was sure hoping that they would make a chargeable one where it was internal, but this is not a huge deal because you can upgrade an aftermarket battery pack that you can just charge up. And also we do get a USB Type-C port now on the controller compared to the micro USB from before, so that's a nice upgrade there. So let's go ahead and compare the X here to the S. I do have the S also. Here we are looking at him from the front, and you guys can see how much smaller or thinner, I guess, the S is. Now the X being completely a square box, you know, it's the same on every side, but the S here is a little different. So if we face it this way, we can see it gets quite wide. Now if we put it in front of the X, it's actually pretty much the same width here as the X. So that's quite interesting. So putting it right next to it, you guys can see that, you know, the S is much smaller. Well, I guess I had it upside down this whole time. And also much lighter than the X, which is definitely interesting considering the S is, you know, quite capable, but I have a feeling the X is just gonna destroy it as time goes on with newer games. But if we lay them down and the S next to it, you can see what that looks like. Now, as far as the ports go, it looks like we pretty much have everything identical here. We got the Ethernet, the 2 USB, the HDMI output, and then the storage expansion. So yeah, exactly the same ports. And that's probably because they do both have the same motherboards. So there's a lot of similarities to it, but the X has more performance in it in graphics and also RAM. So now let's look at the remotes real quick. So they look pretty much identical that I can tell. Everything looks the same kind of patterns, grips, buttons, joysticks, everything seems to be exactly the same except for the color differences. So yeah. All right, so let's move the S out of the way and we'll get the X plugged in and set up. So we're gonna need our power wire, and that simply plugs in down here. And then our HDMI cable. Now it's quite important that you use the cable that comes with the Xbox because this is a ultra high speed cable, and this is important to get the speeds and the resolutions to the TV correctly from the Xbox. So don't use your old HDMI cable. So the HDMI port is next to the power port, and that's it. Simple as that. Now we can grab the Xbox. I guess we'll set it right here for now. Alright, so I got everything plugged in, and the TV that we're using is a Vizio V-Series. It's a 40-inch, but the great thing about it, it is a 4K TV, so it should do quite well. So let's go ahead and hit the power button, and it does light up. Alright, looks like we got a signal. And it's booting up. And it seems to be sitting on this boot up logo here for a little while. All right. And there we go. So it did take a little bit there, about a minute and a half to get going. And this is what we're greeted with. So you do have an option where you can use an app to do the setup, but we're going to go ahead and use the controller. So let's go ahead and pair that. I'm going to push the button on the controller, see if it connects. And it looks like it's not synced. So let's go ahead and sync it by pushing the sync button here on the Xbox and then the controller. And they both start blinking fast. And now they're connected. All right, so let's navigate through here. So we're going to click next. So here it's going to ask our language. I'm going to click English, set up our network connection, connect to that. Looks like it says it's all good. Where do you live? And now for the update. So the update is 775 MB, and that might take a little while. We can see on the bottom there the progress bar, but it is going quite quick, so that's a good sign. So this is something you can expect when you have these next generation consoles, is a lot of downloading. So make sure you have a pretty decent connection, because there'll be a lot of that happening. And it's going to be either software updates or game updates. So as it's updating, it's gonna turn off once or twice and reboot itself. So just be patient and wait for it. All right, so now it wants us to push the button on the remote and then A, and it's going to update the controller. That's definitely interesting. So even the controller gets an update. All right, and that didn't take long. Looks like it's done. So next you're gonna need to sign in into your Microsoft account. And if you don't have one, you can create it. All right, so we're logging into that. And it looks like it found me. No thanks. So here it wants to apply my other settings. Let's just say no thanks for now. Security preferences, we'll keep it unlocked. Instant sign-in. Time zone automatic, energy saving. You probably want to keep this checked to keep the games and the system updated. So here it says it looks like our TV supports advanced features. So we're going to use the 4K display. And it looks like we are done. Let's click on Take Me Home. And this is our home menu here. So you guys can see this is the layout, or the new layout, I guess. Different choices on the side. So obviously, you know, new things are something to get used to, but I think the way this layout is overall seems to be quite intuitive. Now, if you don't have a Game Pass, you might want to consider getting it. We did sign up for it for the Series S, and that is definitely worth it for that console. Now for this one, depending, you know, on what you're playing, you know, if you don't have any games practically that are discs and you want to play digital, this might be a good choice here to sign up for this Game Pass. So they have quite a few games here, and they're all alphabetically ordered here. So depending on what you're playing and how you want to play the Xbox, a Game Pass here is a great option to have. So since the Series X has the disk drive, let's go ahead and start off with a disk game called Project Cars 2. All right, so it ate it up, and I can definitely hear the disk be spinning up and reading whatever it's doing in there. I'm gonna bring my mic in. Now it's just a disk drive, not flow of air, the fan here, and I can feel a very slight breeze coming out from the top, but it's silent, it's just a disk. All right, so it looks like it needs an update, but we're gonna skip that for now, I think. So even though we installed the CD, you guys can see it's still updating, and it needs 36 gigs. This just shows you guys that even if you do have a disk, it still has to download internally so it can, you know, have those quick start times and load times. But the good part is, if you see where it says ready to start there on the bar, once it gets there, we can go ahead and start the game. And by the way, while it's loading up, if I click info on the TV, you can guys see here it says 2160p. So it is outputting 4K. So let's go back while it's installing here and check out the settings. And here we have network settings, TV display options, and if we click that, here we can choose the resolution we can put out, the 4K TV details. So here it shows us what our TV is capable of. So it looks like we pretty much have all the check marks except for the 120 hertz, and this TV can only do 60 hertz, and we can see down there that it does support that, which is good to see. And we do have HDR support also. Here we can calibrate the TV, then we can calibrate for HDR games. I guess we can go ahead and do that real quick. So right off the bat, I can see that it does look a little bit washed out. All right, and so here we can see what it's calibrated to and then uncalibrated. So, but even though this TV has HDR, it's not very good at it. Here we can choose video modes of what we want to display, and then the oversampling, can adjust that here. So yeah, and you got a bunch of other stuff you can, you know, do and control. So let's go ahead and go to Game Pass here since I have that, and we'll start downloading a couple games also. And by the way, the EA games are also included in the Game Pass, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so it looks like there it says that Project Cars is ready to start. So let's go ahead and download this Unravel game real quick since it's not too big. All right, so if we go to our games here, we can see that the Unravel is queued and the Project Cars right now is updating or downloading. Let's go ahead and start it. All right, so it won't let me start because it needs an update, and the update is 44.3 GB. Wow. So yeah, you guys can see that even though you have a disc, it doesn't mean that you're gonna play. So you gotta have to wait for the updates. And I'm just gonna go to the Game Pass and browse a little bit more. Maybe I'll add a couple more games to the queue. Actually guys, let's go just to the EA games. I do want to install this Jedi game because I did start playing it on the S series. One thing I did notice is that the quality on the game wasn't as good, and I think it's because it's using the old S series to port from. And so for the X series, I think it's going to use the better quality that's on the One X. So I'm hoping for that. Just right off the bat here, looking at the menus, everything looks very, very crispy. Actually kind of excited to try this game out also. I haven't even tried it yet, so let's go ahead and install that too. All right, so now it's just a waiting game. So once it's ready to go, we'll start one. And by the way, I did forget to mention that if you look down there where it says all storage on the left side, on the very bottom, you can see that we have 750 GB that's free right now. So even though there's a terabyte in the Xbox, you know, you're not going to get all of that terabyte because the operating system and whatnot else still uses some of those gigs up. So, and if you guys notice the download speed, it's about 50 megabytes per second, 55 or so. And that's about what I've been getting. And I'm pretty far away from the router. So if you get closer, you'll go a lot faster. Now, if you plug in your Xbox straight to the Ethernet, with my provider, I get 100 megabytes pretty easily, constantly. So if you want to download faster and get closer to the Wi-Fi, or even connect the Ethernet to your Xbox to get great speeds. All right, so it looks like the Project Cars 2 is finished, and these two are also done, and the heat is still installing. So let's go ahead and start the Project Cars like we wanted to. So it did go into HDR mode, and it might be too bright. All right, so it's loading up. Press A. So the intro video is looking really good. Well, let's go ahead and skip it. I guess I've played this game before, or maybe the kids did. I don't remember, to be honest. It's been a while. So let's just go to quick play. So it's loading up. Let's see how quick it takes. So we're halfway done. All right, and it's loaded up. So that only took about 15 seconds. So right off the bat, the quality is quite amazing. So you can definitely tell that this is 4K. That's very nice. So we are coming from an Xbox One S where it didn't do 4K. So not sure how much difference this would be from the older Xbox One X, but looking at it here, it looks quite amazing. Now you guys are not going to see what I see because I'm recording in 24 frames per second, which is not a good frame rate at all to record any kind of movement. But I can confirm looking at it with my eyes that we're definitely getting 60 frames per second because it's quite smooth. So I'm not familiar with this game and not sure exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, but we're just looking at the aesthetics of it here. And so I'm realizing that I think I'm too bright right now for the camera. So I'm going to go to menu and turn down the brightness some more and the contrast down just a bit. All right, so that should be quite a bit better. And also if I click info, we can see that we are in 4K and HDRs. All right, so let's just leave this card right here and let's jump to another game. Let's say the Star Wars Jedi. So I haven't turned this on yet on this Series X yet, but I am playing it on the S. So it's just going through its, I guess, initial load. All right, so let's click on continue. All right, so it puts us where I guess I left off last time. So initially here, I can tell right away that the game is a much smoother and definitely a bit cleaner looking than the Series S. I guess we're in some kind of like Twilight Zone or something. But in any case, the thing I really wanted to try is go back to the menu here. If we jump from this game to the Project 2 cars, we should just resume exactly where we were. So let's see. And there it goes. We're exactly at the spot we were at, and it only took about 8 seconds or so, or about 10 seconds to start up. So if I just go back to the Star Wars game, and we can see up there it said quick resume. So yeah, it takes about 10 seconds or so, but that's not bad, and you get to start exactly where you left off, which is quite incredible. And so what makes the Xbox Series X so great is that it can literally do everything. You know, it can play your CDs, you know, you can sign up for Game Pass and have literally over 100 games to choose from, and these will, you know, update and new ones are added all the time. I think I just recently had a message saying that there was a few games that were added. So, and not only that, we have a lot of these older ones from the 360. So I feel like Xbox did an excellent job with combining the new and the old together, because it's going to take a little while for developers to come out with these new games and show the true potential. With the Velocity architecture, we have all these older games and plus semi-new ones here to play while you're waiting. So it is quite incredible to see how backwards compatible it is. And not only that, we also get, you know, strictly all the EA games. So if you like games from EA, you have quite a few to choose from there also, if you get the Game Pass, obviously. So yeah, guys, I feel like the new Series X is definitely up to the challenge for the next generation. I think its true potential and power hasn't been unleashed, and I think we can all agree that every time a new console comes out, the first half a year is a little rough, because by the time new games come out and developers jump on the new platform and start making awesome games, it does take some time. And one thing about the X that you want to consider over the S is that you're getting quite a bit of a step up in power performance, but also twice as much storage. So I feel like the Series X is still a better bargain, especially if you're more into gaming. This is the console to get. Now, if you're more of a casual gamer or just play once in a while, I think the S is a pretty good entry to the system, being cheaper and more affordable. But if you're any serious about the next gen console, definitely go for the Series X. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed this little unboxing and overview. If you did enjoy this video, then hit that like button. Also check out my Series S that I just did if you're interested in that console. And I will be comparing the X to the S in another video. So if you're interested in that, then stay tuned. Alright guys, well thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.